Hey, what's up guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Gemstone Legends. Today, I'm going to talk about the new fusion hero that's going to be available for this year, and that is Suzetti. So what I want to do is I'm going to talk about the hero only for this particular video. Now, since she is a fusion hero that is a special fusion for this year, there's going to be a series of events where you need to collect some epic heroes in order to fuse her. I'm going to talk about how to do that and how to be successful for each of those events in a separate video. So this way you can actually just focus on Suzetti as a hero and then the events separately after that. So today we're just going to talk about how she works, her skills, and potential loadout since you can't get her yet. And then we can talk about whether it's worth for you to go after her or not. So let's go ahead and get started.
Ooh, that sugar sweet, you got what I need. Sipping on the potion, all that good emotion.
So to start out, let's talk about how you can actually obtain Suzetti. And so this is going to be through the Fusions tab. You access that by going to the altar and then click on the Fusions tab. You can see that Suzetti now shows up along with Shreebok and Guinevere and other sort of permanent fusion heroes. She's temporary. You can see the timer here. At the time of recording, she's going to be available for only 41 days and 15 hours. And when you click on it, then you can see the recipe or the epic heroes that are needed for the fusion. You do need to get all of these epic heroes to level 50. That means you need to get 5 stars, and then at level 50. You can also get a preview for what each of these epic heroes are going to be like. You can take a look at their skills, and so that way you can also decide for yourself, do you want to sacrifice these epic heroes for a single legendary? Some of these could be useful, and so I wanted to go through them and help you make a decision for what you can do. So let's go back and take a look at the hero. So the way you can find her is through the lexicon and go to the Empire faction, and then that's where you can find Suzetti. Okay, so all the information is available in the game right now, and we're going to start by taking a look at her special ability. Her special ability, she is a bruiser type, so she is expected to deal damage to the enemy. And what she does is she first inflicts vulnerability to a single enemy. And what that does is it actually will make it so that the enemy takes more damage from special abilities. Then she goes ahead and deals damage based on 35% of her max health at level 6. So you're expected to deal a little bit more damage on top of the vulnerability. So the 35%, and then that gets amplified by I think 30% with the vulnerability status. Then afterwards, she'll inflict freeze on that enemy for 3 turns. None of these are guaranteed in terms of the inflicting vulnerability and freeze, so you do need to have some accuracy. So what you can expect to do is if you wanted to equip her to benefit from all of these skills, you'll want to have accuracy as well as critical damage and critical rate. You want to have your critical rate value to be at 85% or higher. Okay, and now let's take a look at the passive ability. So what she does is she will inflict decreased speed on all enemies while using the special ability. So even though you're attacking just a single enemy, if that enemy is affected by sleep, stun, freeze, or silence, then you will also decrease speed on all enemies. And it should work with her own ability to freeze. So if you're able to freeze the enemy, it should also then inflict the decreased speed on all enemies. Okay, so this is when you're using your special ability. Then afterwards, if you're able to use your gemstone to attack, and you attack an enemy that also has the sleep, stun, freeze, or silence, any of those 4, then you also deal damage to all enemies. So even though she is a bruiser type that attacks just a single one, you can end up dealing damage to all your enemies just by attacking with gemstones. And so having high health is going to be very helpful here in that you can deal more damage to your opponents. And then another thing to consider is because she is in the Empire's faction, what that allows you to do is that allows you to equip this particular this particular relic, and that is the Gauntlet of Thorns. So if you do have the Gauntlet of Thorns, you can also then put it on her so that you can also get up to 30% ignore defense, so that you can actually deal even more damage to your opponents. And equipping her along with Vermin for the first 10 turns allows you to go up to 60% ignore defense. So now you're able to deal good damage to a single enemy, and also with her passive ability, deal damage to all enemies. And so in that regard, I would think that actually Suzetti could be a very good hero just in general. Like, she will pair well with anyone that inflicts any of those stats. There's so many of our heroes in the arsenal today that will do sleep or stun or freeze or silence. And I typically do a lot of silence myself. So I can definitely pair her with any of those heroes that I like to use. And she will be able to do a lot of damage to the enemies. And so I think that she's going to be a very good hero. And I think she's well worth it to actually to fuse. So now let's take a look at what you are going to be giving up if you do fuse her, because I do want to make sure that I give all the information that's available for you. And so this is the one that's available right now, and that's AoE. He grants vampirism and increases speed. I think that this is probably not going to be a very, you're not going to miss this hero per se. I think of all the ones here, I've taken a look at them all, so I don't want to go into detail, but I think the only one that I personally like is Keijo, in that he will grant Boar King and Mana Breath to all your allies, so really helpful to all of your allies, and then he can match gemstones additional times, so he can actually just continually get more mana for all of your allies as well, and also increase the accuracy of your purple allies. Okay, and so there's a lot of purple heroes we have that do a lot of negative stats, and so this will help. So I think Keijo is probably the only one I would say you'll probably miss. I don't like Soul Link personally, so I don't really care about Alf, although I think it's funny that there is a character that's going to be named Alf. For those of you who know the reference. And then there's also Bobby, who I think is just okay. So of the four of these, I think that probably the one that'll see more use is going to be Keijo. Maybe Soul Link for those who like it. But generally, I think for myself, I think I'll be okay obtaining these four heroes, getting them to level 50, and then immediately going ahead and fusing Suzetti. I think that she's going to be a really good, just a good hero to have all around, a good damage dealer, and she also will help with freezing enemies. And so I think that she is going to be, she's going to be a fun hero to obtain and to try out with. And given that she is a fusion hero, you do have limited time to decide if you want to get her. So 41 days to decide if you want to fuse her. After that, you're going to have to wait for her to show up in the altar. My personal advice always is, if you have a chance to get a guaranteed legendary without having to summon for one, you should always do it. You could always wait to get the epic heroes later on down the road, and in my personal opinion, they're not one that's going to really make that big of a change for your gameplay, so I think that you should go for it regardless. So that's my sort of preview for this hero and what I think about her. Hopefully this helps you make a decision, and then take a look at my next few videos where I'm going to talk about how you can be successful for each of the events that are available in order for you to collect the epics to fuse Suzetti. So that's going to be it for me for this video, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.